This video is for you if you work at the computer a lot and you've got sore or tender wrists, forearms, and maybe a bit of tenderness in the low back. This is going to help you get ready for the day, warm up all the muscles that you need to use for the day, and hopefully decrease your soreness at the end of the day. And feel free at any point to pause the video and spend more time with any of these breath practices or yoga poses as you need to do. So we'll begin on our backs with the knees bent in kissing knees position. So starting on the floor with the feet a comfortable distance apart. If you like, you can rest the inner knees against each other to release tension in the hip flexors. So choose a position that's comfortable for you. The hands can be by the sides. If you like, you can place one hand on the low belly and one hand on the upper chest to feel where the breath is moving. Your eyes can close if you like, or they can stay open. So begin by just taking a few natural breaths and noticing where your breath feels full or restricted. Just taking note. And then you're going to begin to lengthen and deepen the breath, focusing on filling up the low belly. So as you inhale, let the low belly lift up and balloon up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, allow the belly to sink back to resting state. As you inhale, the diaphragm and the pelvic floor are going to descend, moving toward the heels. The belly fills up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, everything moves back to steady state. Continue at your own pace, beginning to lengthen the breath so the inhale and exhale are of equal length. And a good pace to shoot for is about 6 seconds or 6 counts for the inhale and 6 counts for the exhale. Please work toward that. The breath can be longer, 7, 8 counts. And you might find that over time the breath begins to stretch out a little bit longer. The hand on the upper chest is there to make sure that the breath really stays in the low belly. You don't want your collarbones lifting and your chest lifting and tightening as you breathe for this particular breath. So if you like, you can pause the video here and continue this for a few more minutes. And when you're ready, we'll move on to activating the core. So after you finish your abdomino-diaphragmatic breath, find yourself with the feet flat, about hip distance apart, and take your hands on the bony part of your pelvis, maybe one hand under your low back if you like. So you want to start with a neutral spine. That means there's a little space under your low back. And to find that, let's press the low back into the mat or the floor so there's no space. This is a posterior tilt. And then do the opposite, so you're arching your low back away from the floor. There's a lot of space, and you can move through that a few times, staying out of pain, if there's any pain. And then find a place right in the middle. So this is your neutral position. There should be a little space under the low back. If you're used to resting in this position with the back flat, it's going to feel kind of strange to have that space there. And that is okay. So the pointy part of the hips right here in the front and the pubic bone right there should all be level with each other rather than like this. Yeah, like this. Here you're going to inhale, a regular breath in. And then as you exhale, you're going to lift the pelvic floor as you draw the belly button to the spine. Think of zipping up a tight pair of pants. Inhaling, letting everything relax to begin with. And then exhaling, pelvic floor lifts and the low belly descends toward the spine. You can stay with that practice, releasing everything, relaxing as you inhale, and exhaling, tightening and engaging. Once you're comfortable with that, you're going to keep that engagement. And as you inhale, the ribs are going to go wide out to the right and the left. Exhale, the ribs come back into center. So you're still keeping a little bit of activation in the core. It releases a little bit as you inhale, but you still want to be able to have that muscular contraction as you inhale. So you need to draw the breath more into the rib cage. Not high into the chest, but wide into the ribs and wide into the lungs. If it helps, you can place the hands on the rib cage. And you want to avoid doing what I'm about to do. You want to avoid pressing the belly up toward the ceiling. So another thing you can do as you practice is rest the hands on the belly. And if you notice that as you try to contract your muscles, the belly puffs up toward the ceiling, relax, start over, let it go. You want the belly actually to become a little more flattened toward the floor when you do that contraction. So stay with that if you're working on that. And if you feel like you've got a handle on that, the next step is as you exhale, you're going to float one heel up off the ground. The toes stay down. Inhaling the heel down. Ribs wide. Exhale, pelvic floor lifts, core engaged. The other heel lifts. You can take your hands. Continue, inhale, heel down. Exhale, lifting the opposite heel. So you can rest your hands on the pointy part of your hips to make sure you're not feeling any rocking side to side or tilting front to back. So you'll continue at your own pace. I like to exhale and lift the heel. Inhale and lower the heel. This is very slow. So your 6 count inhale to lower the heel. Your 6 count exhale to lift the heel. It is quality, not quantity, and definitely not speed. Again, you can stay here for a few minutes and do this up to 3 minutes. And when you're ready to move on, we'll roll over to the side. And we're going to come up to the forearms and the knees. So instead of being on the wrists, if your wrists are irritated, a great way to modify that is to come onto the elbows. Sometimes it's actually harder. So your elbows are right below the shoulders. You're opening the palms. So if you have limited range of motion or a lot of tightness, you might actually find that you're here. Over time, you'll get the thumbs to the floor. Knees are right under the hips. And here you want to find that neutral spine again. So I'm not like this, and I'm not sagging like that. See if you can identify that neutral spine. Activate the pelvic floor and the belly. We'll move into some simple cat and cow. And we're going to start with the tailbone. So on an exhale, tuck the tailbone under and then one vertebra at a time, roll through the spine so the head is last. As you inhale, start with the tail, lifting the tail, dropping the belly, dropping the rib cage, lifting the neck, the head, the eyes. Exhale, tucking the tail, rolling one vertebra at a time. Inhaling, tail lifts, letting the belly drop, arching the spine, looking up toward the ceiling. Exhale, tail tucks, one vertebra at a time. So you might feel those stiff spots maybe in the middle of the back. Inhaling, arching. Please continue that on your own for about 3 more repetitions. That's a great thing to do in the morning. 6 to 8 rounds of that. And then when you're done, we're going to give a little core workout here. Tuck the toes under. Find that neutral spine position and make sure that your head is not jutting forward so the back of the neck is long. Take an inhale, widening the rib cage. And as you exhale, float the knees off the mat 1 inch and hold. Keep your spine neutral. Keep your core engaged. And you're going to work up to 10 breaths in this position. Holding and breathing long, steady breaths. If you need a break, put the knees down. Back of the neck stays long, breath stays steady. And to rest, your knees can come down. I can just come back and do a child's pose. So if you're working on core strength, Repeat that 3 times. A really good practice to shoot for is 10 repetitions, 10 breaths per repetition, 10 breaths per repetition. If you're ready to move on, we're going to add a little bit of challenge for the shoulder muscles. Palms up, neutral spine, breathing in. Exhale, float the knees 1 inch up and start to shift your weight side to side. Next time you inhale, shift your hips back toward the heels. The knees are still floating. Exhale, shoulders forward. Inhaling back. Exhaling forward. Try to keep your breastbone, your sternum, right in the middle. So don't let it wag side to side. Inhaling back. Exhaling forward. Inhaling back. Exhaling forward. We'll do 3 more repetitions. Inhaling back. Exhaling. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back. Knees wide. Toes together. Rest in child's pose. I like to have my hands a little wider than the mat, so kind of a big Y shape. And you can choose palms down, or perhaps it feels good to you to have the hands up. Just a full, easy breath here in child's pose. You can rest there as long as you need. When you're ready, come up to sitting. I'm going to sit on a block. So you might want to sit up in an easy cross-legged position on a blanket or a pillow to support the hips. So let's get the wrists a little bit warm and loose. Interlace the hands, and you're going to make figure 8s with the elbows bent to start. About 8 in one direction, and then reverse that figure 8. You can stick your tongue out if it helps. And then straight arms, straight elbows. Try to go through that figure 8 motion as well here. And then try to reverse it. You can also do this during the day to give your wrists a break from work. And then last, check that you're sitting with a neutral spine. You're still engaging the core. Shoulders roll back and down. Take the hands out alongside the body. Palms are up. The soft part of your elbow, the crease of your elbow is facing the ceiling. Right? Broadening the collarbones. You're going to keep all of that and just turn the forearms down. So the palms turn toward the floor. This is arm spiral. So the top part of my arm stays where it is, just the bottom part is moving. And if this is difficult for you, you can also take 2 fingers, put them on the front of one shoulder, and feel that your arm bone, your humerus, is not jutting forward each time you do this. The motion is not up here in the shoulder, it's just the forearm. So you're stabilizing the shoulder joint and moving the forearm. If you're sitting at the computer a lot all day like this, we kind of tend to lose this shoulder blade scapular muscle stability. So you can do that about 10 times. This is another great break to do in the middle of your workday. 10. Take your hands, rest them on your lap, palms down. Eyes closed if you like. Just take a moment, scan through the body, observing any shifts in your energy, any physical sensations. Let the breath return to its normal rhythm. And from here you can move into meditation or rest on your back in relaxation pose, or move on with your day. Thank you.